So as you all probably know, yesterday, the folks over at IK Multimedia announced the release of ToneX Plug, which is now available for pre-order and will be shipping really soon. So I had a load of questions about very specific aspects of ToneX Plug that I wanted to do another quick follow-up video and try and answer as many of those as I possibly can. So before I start anything, let me just run down my setup today. It's a little bit different than yesterday. I'm actually set up with my Fender Custom Shop Strat with the ToneX Plug plugged into this, as you can see here. I have it connected to my computer via USB, and I also have the headphone output hooked straight into my audio interface so you can hear what's coming off of the headphone output. Yesterday, I used it as an audio interface, and we'll talk a little tiny bit about some of the features of the audio interface today. But I wanted you to hear what I would be hearing if I was monitoring ToneX Plug off of headphones. So you're just hearing the recorded output of the headphone output rather than the USB. So to start off with, somebody asked me about direct monitoring. So again, if we head over to ToneX Editor, you can see here that I am plugged into ToneX Plug. I'm going to go to my global settings. And we come here and see that we have these different simple settings for ToneX Plug. I go to the General tab, and of course we do have direct monitoring here. Now, if you hit the little information button here, this will tell you everything you need to know. It says when using ToneX Plug as a USB audio interface, you can choose to monitor your signal either directly or through the return from your DAW. If you prefer to monitor from your DAW, set direct monitoring to off to avoid double monitoring. Furthermore, if you want to completely bypass the ToneX Plug processing, you need to manually bypass all the gear in the chain. That last line we'll talk about in a second. So basically the answer is yes, we do have direct monitoring. If you wanted to basically turn direct monitoring off and then within your DAW, you can go in and hit the monitor channel. Now you're going to have to be mindful of your buffer settings so that you don't have any perceptible latency. But the beautiful thing about direct monitoring is if you were using ToneX Plug as a little basic audio interface and it's streaming the audio back from your DAW, if you have direct monitoring on, there isn't going to be any latency since you're going to be monitoring directly off of ToneX Plug, which is going to blend in with what is coming back off your DAW. So direct monitoring is there, great feature. We can turn it on or off if we so desire. Now, the other question that I received is whether we can stream Bluetooth audio back and forth from our device, such as our iPhone, if we want to jam along. And so here, basically, let's take a look at that. You can see up on screen here that I have the ToneX Control app open. You can hear the tone that I have going. This is based off my Vintage Dlx Vrb collection, which you can grab at the links below if you're so inclined and you like what you hear. But let's say we want to use that tone to actually jam along with something streaming off of YouTube, let's say. So let's do that. Here I have a little short that I have up on YouTube that's featuring the in the mix audio of this exact collection. Let's say I start this up. Now remember, the way I have this set up is you're hearing what is coming off of the headphone jack of ToneX Plug. So you can hear that I can jam along beautifully with this. The audio comes through and works really nicely. So that is a really great use of having this. If we're sitting on our bed, some headphones plugged into ToneX Plug, we've got YouTube open, we want to jam along with a backing track, it's all right here and works beautifully. Now that does bring up the question of how we set up Bluetooth to work in this manner on ToneX Plug. So if we come to our Bluetooth settings on our iPhone, you're going to want to make sure that you see both ToneX Plug enabled and hooked up for audio and for data. So even if it is hooked up for data, we also have to have it paired for audio as well. And the way we do this is if you look on ToneX Plug on your two volume controls, underneath you will see that it says Bluetooth. So if we press and hold those two buttons together for a few seconds, you'll see that the three LEDs, I don't know if that's coming through on screen, but the three LEDs on the front will start flashing blue and kind of scrolling back and forth. That means that ToneX Plug is in Bluetooth pairing mode, and you would want to pair that to your device to be able to stream audio. Now, the other question I had was about the headphone output quality and whether it's going to be able to handle a wide variety of headphones. I had specific questions about Sennheiser HD600 and 650s. What I can tell you is that while I don't think the ToneX Plug was ever meant to be an audiophile grade headphone amplifier, it does handle those headphones well. I have used for many, many years Sennheiser HD600s. I plugged them into ToneX Plug and they're fine. They work. It's okay. So, well, again, while I'm not stating that ToneX Plug is some sort of super high-end audiophile headphone output, I don't think it was ever designed to be that. It's basically a small piece of ToneX hardware that's probably just going to be used for practice and possibly laying down some basic ideas. But yeah, I can plug my HD600s into it and I get a perfectly acceptable sound out of it. So my opinion is, yeah, it works fine with it for whatever that's worth. So another question that I received is, could we use ToneX Plug as an audio interface for controlling a different app? So I'm going to use it to show how we could use it as an audio interface for the actual ToneX software. Maybe we don't need to do that. We could just use it on ToneX Plug, but let's say we were trying to control a different software-based amp modeler, like Neural Amp Modeler. So basically here, if with the ToneX app, I would want to come into my settings and go to audio settings and choose ToneX Plug as my audio interface. You can see here I have my input device, input 1, so that's going to be coming out of my guitar into ToneX Plug, and then feeding that into ToneX. Then output device, we're monitoring off of ToneX Plug, so we're going to want to set that to the only choice, 1 and 2, and we'd want to set our buffer size so that the latency was reasonable. So I have it set at its lowest setting. So now here's the problem. When I play this, it's not sounding like it should. And the problem is basically what's happening is ToneX Plug is processing the audio with whatever tone model is loaded on it. So I would have to come over to ToneX Plug here and basically bypass all of the processing within ToneX Plug, as you see I'm doing up on screen here, so that the whole signal chain is now bypassed. And now what you're going to hear is only what is being processed on ToneX app. So I'd want to bypass all the gear in the ToneX app, and then I could come over and choose my tone within whatever host we want to be using ToneX Plug as an audio interface with. And we could come in here and make changes to whatever we want within our host app. Again, all the tones you're hearing today are from my really wonderful new collection, which is the Vintage Dlx Reverb, which is based off of my actual all-original 1965 Deluxe Reverb. I'll have the links below to those if you're so inclined and want to grab a copy of. And I'll also let you hear the different tone models from that collection in a full mix a little bit later on the way out of this video. So the answer is yes, we can use it as an audio interface to control other apps or other guitar modeling software. Now, the other question I received was about latency and how the latency was with this. So basically using this as an audio interface, going into ToneX app here, if you come in to the settings, audio settings, I'm going to set my buffer size to the lowest setting. And honestly, I feel it's pretty good. I haven't actually measured the exact amount of latency, but I don't feel anything that is a deal breaker there, and it seems to work quite nicely. Another question that I received is when I used my Gibson ES330 yesterday for the video, because it has a top-mounted input jack, they assumed that I was doing that to avoid showing that ToneX Plug could be plugged into other types of instruments. So today I'm using my Strat. You can see it plugs in there quite nicely. Plugs into my Les Paul, plugs into my 330, my 335. Basically, I don't have a guitar in my fairly extensive collection that it doesn't plug into. Now, am I saying that there isn't a guitar in the world that it won't be able to plug into? No, that's quite possible. I don't have every guitar on the planet here, but I've yet to come across a guitar that it doesn't plug into. And the build quality is quite nice on it. It seems like if it's something that you take care care of. Obviously, if you drop it and step on it, it will likely break. If you run it over with your vehicle, it will likely break. If you abuse it, it will likely break, like most things. But I don't feel that the quality of the unit is lacking in any way. If we take care of it and handle it with the proper care, I think it's going to be a unit that's going to last quite some time. So I hope that that answers some of the questions that I got. I think I covered everything. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll see what I can do to get to answer those. But I hope that that does deal with some of the concerns that folks had that I didn't get to cover in the previous video. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate you sharing your time with me, and I hope that that video was helpful. I'm going to leave you today with a full-blown demo video for my recently released Vintage Dlx Vrb ToneX collection. It's based off of my all-original vintage 1965 Deluxe Reverb. These tones are absolutely spectacular. I've been getting tons of great feedback on them, and I'd love to let you hear them in the mix on the way out. The links are below to these if you're so inclined and want to grab a copy of them. So thanks so much for sharing your time with me. Please like the video, share it with anybody you think would get some use or enjoyment out of watching it. Also, please subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content. I'll be back really soon with some more. Thanks again for tuning in. Enjoy the music on the way out, and we'll talk very soon. Ciao for now.